Now, for the past couple of months leading up to the election, we've been talking about our North Carolina governor race and doing like a pretty much a quadriennial review of the Carolina comeback of our governor. So now we've already talked about voter IDs. We've already talked about teacher salary. Tonight we're going to go into the final segment of Get Rid of McCrory. Or I have beef with Patty. It's a good pun. It's a good pun. I stand by it. I stand by it.
He loves that.
All right. Let's go to the next slide and take a look at the wheel. The wheel decides what we're going to talk about. I have on this wheel all the things I have beef with Patty on. First up, there's Amendment 1, which was the anti-gay marriage measure that would happen right before he got into office, where he supported the Syrian refugee ban, his endorsement of Trump, and cutting down Medicaid. House Bill 2, the coal ash bill, the film incentives, teacher salary and voter ID laws. We've already talked about voter ID laws and teacher salaries in previous segments. Those are online. You can watch them. But this is a wheel. If the wheel lands with either of those, we'll just talk about it again. We'll just go over it. We're at the mercy of whatever this wheel chooses. All right, let's go ahead and spin the wheel. All right, so we're talking about the film tax incentive. So the wheel has chosen. All right, next slide. All right, so North Carolina used to be a hub for a lot of Hollywood productions. We were home to things like Firestarter, Journey to the Mysterious Island, The Longest Ride, and sometimes even good movies. Sometimes good movies happen here too. Now, this is because of a 25% tax incentive that attracted productions. It was pretty much if they spent a minimum of $250,000 on a production, they were guaranteed to get a kickback of 25% of their tax they paid here sent back to them. Now, this has been in place for several years and it would attract a lot of business. One of the first things that happened when McCrory got into office is that he let the tax incentive expire. Let's go to the next slide. Now, immediately, the reason that he let it expire is because they were going over the new budget, and they felt like productions were kind of abusing this system. And also, he thought it was unfair that film productions could just immediately get an incentive deal that was so good that normal business industries would have to spend several years in the area to get. So either he's just playing dumb, or he really thinks that movie production should be going on for years and years before they earn this credit. Like productions are looking at North Carolina going, what's good about shooting in North Carolina is the last 10 years of you shooting the same movie. They give you more kickbacks on the tax than the first 10 years of you shooting this movie. Now, they let this expire at the end of 2014 and immediately replaced it with a grant program that was not as enticing. In 2015, they went with a $10 million grant program that was not enticing to things in the area. And something about when film productions come to the area, there's not only providing jobs for people that work in the movie, but a lot of money comes to the area because film productions use several of the local businesses in the area. It's where they get all their props, that's how they build the sets. Crew is eating at local businesses. It's just a big boost to the local economy. So in 2014, the last year that this was in effect, and the year that productions were already starting to shy away from coming to North Carolina because they heard about this program was ending soon, film production spent $316 million in North Carolina. In comparison, the first year of the grant program, film productions only spent $65 million in North Carolina. Now, I don't need to show you a bar graph to let you know that $316 million is a lot more than $65 million. But I'm vindictive, so what the hell? Let's put the bar graph up. That's what it looks like. It's a lot less. It's a lower bar than the other bar. Now, they've already kind of tried to rectify this. They stopped the grant program. This year they put in more money. They made it a $60 million grant program. Still not attracting as much business. Right now, we're on track, before the year ends, we're on track for film production companies to spend $130 million in the state. We're not going to see that $300 million figure without either bringing that tax incentive back or spending more money than we would have normally, using the grant program that we would have had to spend if we had just kept the incentive program in the first place. So I'm kind of actually nostalgic for back when this was like my biggest problem with Pat McCrory. It was like 2014. He hadn't really done anything else yet. And then we had these other things that got up on the wheel. Let's go back to the wheel. All right, let's spin it one time. Round and round it goes. Where does it land? I might know. House Bill 2, next slide. Now here's the true thing, the true good news about the film tax incentive being lost, is that losing so many jobs and the money from the film tax incentive actually made the blowback of House Bill 2 a lot less worse than it could have been. Because film production companies can't withdraw their jobs if they're already gone. Now, because of this, that still left a few productions that decided to boycott North Carolina. A&E, Arts and Entertainment, and Fox decided that they would no longer do business. We lost Fox's business. Wow. That is a new low, because that is the same company that has a news program that caters to people that think all transgender people are Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. They said they don't want to be in North Carolina anymore. So, what is House Bill 2, this is the measure that prohibited people from using the bathroom in Virginia they identify with. But more shocking and more sweeping was that it banned cities and local ordinances from making any anti-discrimination laws of their own, which literally made tolerance illegal in North Carolina. Let's go to the next slide. Now, right now, you're probably thinking, Wills, what about all of those? What about that one time a transgender person assaulted all those women in the bathroom? Don't we need laws to protect them? That's a good point. It's a fair point you're raising. Except for not only has that not happened, but that's not the reason this law was passed. This law was passed because Charlotte passed their own non-discrimination, anti-discrimination ordinance, and Pat McCrory decided that he could not have any of that, and he was going to show up his own home state by just whipping out his cisgender dick and waving it all over the entire state at once. Kind of effect to show what he can do. So this is, let's go to the next slide. This led to rapidly losing jobs, shows, sporting events, and most recently a new job center that was going to bring 730 jobs to the area recently decided to go to Virginia instead. Now, we lost the All-Star game, we lost ACC championships, NCAA championships because of this bill. We've lost several jobs from this, to the point, and this is true, next slide. A newspaper in Virginia endorsed Pat McCrory for governor of North Carolina because he's done such an amazing job for their industry. So Virginia's gotten so many new jobs because of all the things that Pat has been doing. All right, to the wheel. All right, let's spin the wheel to see what the next thing is. All right, the coal ash spill. Guys, I've got a confession. The wheel is rigged. The wheel is rigged. And it's not a real wheel spinning right now. I'm a smart guy. I'm not intelligent enough to just riff on policy on command, though. So the wheel is rigged. I just had to let you guys know. Wheel is, in case you thought that the wheel was real, and then there was, just happened to be some slides that were going on. It's not real. Wheel is rigged. The election isn't. All right, coal ash spill. Next slide. It was rigged. 2014, Duke Energy had an accident where the coal ash reserves they were holding, pipe exploded, pipe burst, and coal ash spilled into the Dan River. Problem with this being that it contaminated some of the, it got to the Dan River, contaminated some of the water and drinking wells of the people close by. Now, here's the problem with, now, to the governor's credit, he did allow a state legislation demanding that Duke close their ash reserves by 2029, immediately start cleaning up and close up the reserves. He let it through, he didn't block it, he didn't sign it, he didn't block it, but he let it through, to his credit. To his discredit, he then eventually overturned it immediately. And then later on, earlier this year, when a bipartisan bill went through the state legislature for a commission, to reestablish a commission that would look into cleaning up the Dan River, and the governor vetoed it. Now, let's go to the next slide. What is so weird about that? Why is the governor banning this? Why does the governor seem to be so wary when it comes to coming down on Duke Energy? Now, there have been some measures we've talked about cleaning up, make sure they clean up. But here's the thing. He has worked at Duke Energy for 28 years. This is his old won't stop. This is like if you were in elementary school for 28 years. Let's say you were in elementary school for 28 years because you're just not bright. Just not bright. You're in a school you love for 28 years. You move on. Someone says, hey, that elementary school, there's some shaky businesses going on. You say, no, I'm not going to go back on my alma mater. I should be suspicious that they let me stay for 28 years, but I'm not. Because that's my alma mater. Guys, I can't write all of the metaphors before the show. Sometimes I just have to start talking. But yeah, so now we're wary of the governor's ties with Duke Energy. Cooper's not going to spin a big dragon point on the coal ash bill. And to an even worse degree, the state epidemiologist, the person in charge of testing the water and reporting the findings of the water results of the wells in that area, resigned because, according to her, the governor pressured her and her partners into giving a false report about how toxic the water was, saying that it was safer than leading the general public to believe that the water was safer than it really is. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so let's take a look at who this guy is. This is our governor who we've had for 4 years. As we've seen with his push on voter ID laws, film incentive, and House Bill 2, this is a man who not only solves problems that don't exist, but he also ignores the problems he creates and blames them on other people. This is a man who will take care of his friends who supported him before he got into office, who will take out for his backers before he will look out for you. This is, as we've seen with his policies on teacher salaries, incentives, and equal rights issues, he has caused states surrounding our area to flourish, to gain all of our resources while our state withered. We've seen our film jobs go to Georgia. We've seen our jobs go to Virginia from House Bill 2. We've seen our teachers move to Texas because they're not being paid well enough here. This is a person who is not motivated by helping you out or benefiting the citizens of the state, because what he's concerned about is making sure that he stays in power. This is a dangerous person whose backward, spiteful, and short-sighted policies have hurt our state's reputations worldwide. When I tell you this, this is not just the title of the segment. This is an imperative. This is a mandatory declaration of the most important thing our state can do next week. It doesn't really matter to me next week where North Carolina's electoral votes go, if it goes blue or red, so long as we get rid of McCrory. Next slide. Thank you.